72 minutes, that is how long the first episode of House of the Dragon Season 3 is going to run, not a finale, not some special two-part event. The season opener, Episode 1, June 21st, 9 p.m. Eastern on HBO. And before you say, okay, cool, long episode, stop, because this runtime is not just a number, it is a statement. It is HBO saying, we know what we owe you and we are going to pay it back with fire, literally. We are talking about the Battle of the Gullet, the naval war that the showrunner himself calls arguably the craziest episode of television ever made. A battle with dragons and warships and multiple simultaneous theaters of combat. A sequence they compared to the Battle of Helm's Deep from Lord of the Rings. So in this video, we are going to break down what that runtime actually means, why this battle matters so much to the entire Targaryen saga, how it compares to every major battle episode in this franchise, and what is going on behind the scenes with George R.R. Martin and showrunner Ryan Condal, because that drama is real and it might affect what you see on screen. Let us get into it. House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 1 runs 72 minutes. That number comes straight from HBO's own scheduling page for Sunday, June 21st, where it is listed from 9:00 p.m. to 10:12 p.m. Eastern. Now, that runtime likely includes credits and the Inside the Episode segment that HBO tacks onto most of its prestige shows. So the actual runtime of the episode content itself might be a few minutes shorter. But even accounting for that, we are still talking about a massive block of television for a premiere episode. To understand why this matters, you need to compare it to what came before. Season 1's premiere was 65 minutes. Season 2's premiere was 58 minutes. Most individual episodes across both seasons have landed somewhere between 50 and 65 minutes. So 72 minutes for a season opener is not typical. It is a deliberate choice. Within the full run of the series, this is actually the third longest episode ever. The record holder is the Season 2 finale, The Queen Who Ever Was, which clocked in at 84 minutes. Behind that is Season 2, Episode 6, Small Folk, at 77 minutes. This new premiere comes in right below both of those at 72. Here is what that tells you. They did not just extend this episode because the schedule allowed it. They extended it because the content demanded it. The Battle of the Gullet is not a quick skirmish you can wrap up in 45 minutes and move on from. This is the conflict the entire show has been building towards since Season 1. You cannot rush it. And yes, both Season 2 and Season 3 only have 8 episodes each compared to the 10 episodes Season 1 had, so each episode needs to carry more weight. Longer runtimes are one way to do that. Let us put this in perspective by comparing it to the battle episodes from Game of Thrones, because that franchise has a very specific legacy when it comes to big combat sequences. The most famous example is Season 8, Episode 3, The Long Night. That was the Battle of Winterfell against the Night King. It ran 82 minutes, making it the longest battle episode in Game of Thrones history, and it was extremely controversial because of the lighting choices that made it nearly impossible to see what was happening on screen. Some loved it, many were frustrated by it. It remains a divisive piece of television. Season 6, Episode 9, Battle of the Bastards, is widely considered the gold standard of the franchise's battle sequences. It ran 59 minutes and is still referenced as one of the greatest single episodes of television ever produced. The scale, the choreography, the emotional payoff. It won 8 Emmy Awards. Blackwater, Season 2, Episode 9 was only 55 minutes and is where HBO first proved they could do large-scale war on a TV budget. That episode set the template for everything that followed. The Watchers on the Wall from Season 4 was 50 minutes. Now, the House of the Dragon Season 3 premiere sits at 72 minutes. It is longer than all 4 of those Game of Thrones battle episodes except The Long Night. But here is the key difference. House of the Dragon is doing something none of those episodes could do. It is fighting a battle at sea with dragons simultaneously on multiple fronts. You had ground battles in Game of Thrones, you had siege warfare, you had some dragon action in the final seasons, but you have never had a full naval war with dragons dive-bombing ships in the ocean while fleets of warships clash in real time. That is a completely different production challenge. Ryan Condal said it himself. If we were going to do it, we had to do it right, and that meant dragons and ships and multiple theaters of conflict. If you have not read Fire and Blood and you missed some of Season 2's setup, let me walk you through what this battle actually is and why it matters. The Gullet is a narrow stretch of water that connects the Narrow Sea to Blackwater Bay. It is the primary trade route into King's Landing. Whoever controls the Gullet controls the economic lifeline of the capital. At the start of the Civil War, known as the Dance of the Dragons, Rhaenyra's faction called the Blacks used the fleet of House Velaryon, led by Lord Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, to blockade the Gullet. This was a strategic masterstroke. By cutting off King's Landing sea access, Rhaenyra was slowly strangling the city. No imports, no food, no supplies. The small folk were beginning to starve while Aegon's court sat inside the Red Keep. On the green side, Tywin Lannister traveled to Essos and cut a deal with the Triarchy, a naval power that Daemon and Corlys had actually fought against back in Season 1. Now those same pirates are sailing under the Green Banner, commanded by Admiral Shirako Lohar, played by Abigail Thorne. And here is the added layer. Shirako Lohar personally hates Lord Corlys. She has her own reasons to want to destroy the Velaryon fleet, so this is not just a political battle. There is personal hatred driving the conflict from multiple directions. On the black side, you have Jace Rhaenyra's son Jacaerys flying his dragon in support of the Velaryon fleet. The production numbers that have come out are staggering. The Hollywood Reporter revealed stats from the SXSW London panel: 15,000 stunt crowd members, 3,500 props, and 25 tons of propane used in the production. Abubakar Salim, who plays Alan of Hull, the Sea Snake's bastard son and first mate, described filming the battle as being on a theme park ride. He said it felt like living out childhood dreams of sailing the seas. This is not a contained battle in a field. This is chaos spread across open water with fire coming from the sky. And here is the kicker. This battle was originally supposed to close out Season 2. That is why Season 2 felt like it ended on an anticlimactic note to a lot of viewers. The big payoff was pushed to become the Season 3 opener instead. HBO executive Francesca Orsi confirmed this, saying they wanted to give the Gullet the time and space it deserved rather than cramming it into the end of an already packed season. So if Season 2 felt like it was building up to something and then stopped before delivering, that is exactly what happened. Season 3 opens with the delivery. Quick side note, because it is worth acknowledging the other Game of Thrones spin-off that aired alongside all of this. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the 6-episode prequel series, had episodes running 30 to 35 minutes each. That is essentially half the length of this season premiere for House of the Dragon. The comparison is not a criticism. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms was adapting a novella, not a dense political history. It had a smaller story to tell and told it well within that format. But the contrast is useful, because it illustrates how different the two shows are in scope and ambition. House of the Dragon is running a 72-minute premiere built around a war at sea with dragons. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms ran 30-minute character studies set in roadside inns and tournament grounds. Both are Game of Thrones universe shows. They just exist at completely different scales. Season 3 is the penultimate season. Ryan Condal has confirmed that the series will end with Season 4. So what we are watching in Season 3 is not just any batch of episodes, it is the second act of the final stretch. Season 3 reportedly covers 4 major events from Fire and Blood. The Battle of the Gullet is the first. The others have not been officially detailed, but book readers can make educated guesses about what comes next. The Dance of the Dragons is moving toward its conclusion, and that conclusion involves more loss, more dragons dying, and the eventual toll of civil war on House Targaryen as a whole. Condal has been open about where the series is heading and how the decision to restructure the seasons was made with the ending in mind. He said they wanted 3 great seasons after Season 1 to round out the story. So Season 2 set the table, Season 3 lights it on fire starting with the Gullet, and Season 4 closes it out. The challenge is making sure that structure works for people who are not reading the source material alongside the show. Battle spectacle helps, but what keeps audiences emotionally invested are the characters attached to those battles. Jace flying his dragon into combat is not just cool, it is a moment that carries the weight of everything that brought him to that point. Now we need to talk about the elephant in the room, because the show has a behind-the-scenes situation that could meaningfully affect what ends up on screen. George R.R. Martin is not happy. After Season 2 aired, Martin published a blog post which was later deleted where he laid out his specific grievances with the changes the show made from Fire and Blood. The biggest complaint was the removal of Prince Maelor, one of Aegon and Helena's children. In the book, Maelor is 2 years old and plays a small but narratively significant role in a later event involving a Lysant trying to smuggle the children out of King's Landing during the siege. In the show, Maelor does not exist. Helena and Aegon have only 2 children, the twins Jaehaerys and Rhaenyra. Martin initially accepted this change after Condal told him Mailer would be introduced in Season 3, but then that plan was also scrapped. Martin's argument is that every change creates a butterfly effect. Remove one small character and you lose a scene. Lose a scene and you lose a character motivation. Lose that motivation and the emotional logic of a later sequence falls apart. He warned, and these are essentially his words, that there are larger and more toxic butterflies to come if the show continues on the path being contemplated for seasons 3 and 4. Then it got worse. Reports emerged that Martin's relationship with Condal deteriorated significantly. During a Zoom meeting about Season 3, Martin reportedly said, "This is not my story any longer." Condal responded by saying Martin became unwilling to acknowledge the practical realities of television production. Both of them have a point, honestly. Martin's source material, Fire and Blood, is written as an in-universe history book narrated by a Meister. It contradicts itself. It presents multiple conflicting accounts of the same events. It was never structured as a linear story ready to be filmed. Condal has to make choices that Martin never had to make because Martin wrote a history text, not a screenplay. But Martin's concern is also legitimate. Changes to the source material in Game of Thrones Seasons 7 and 8 when the show moved past the books are widely considered to be the weakest parts of that series. Book readers and non-book readers alike felt the difference. The fear is that the same thing happens here, and that fear is not unreasonable. HBO has sided publicly with Condal, putting out a statement saying the creative team has done an extraordinary job and that millions of fans will continue to enjoy the series. Whether that tension between Martin and Condal leaks into the quality of Season 3 and Season 4 is something we will not know until we actually watch the episodes, but it is a legitimate thing to pay attention to as the season unfolds. House of the Dragon Season 3 premieres June 21st on HBO. Episode 1 runs 72 minutes. It opens with the Battle of the Gullet. It has been called the craziest episode of television ever made by the people who made it, and it carries with it all the weight of 2 seasons of build-up, a behind-the-scenes creative tension that has not been resolved, and the knowledge that this is the second-to-last season of the entire series. There is a lot riding on this premiere, and 72 minutes is either exactly enough time to deliver what has been promised or not enough to overcome the problems it might be walking into. Either way, we are going to find out on June 21st. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you expecting the Battle of the Gullet to live up to the hype, or do you think the Martin Condal drama is going to show up in the writing? I want to know where you stand.